ActionSA's Dr. Nasiphi Moya has been elected as the new mayor of the city of Tshwane. She beat Cilliers Brink of the Democratic Alliance. Moya received the support of her own party as well as the African National Congress, the Economic Freedom Fighters and a number of smaller parties in the council. She said she was prepared to hit the ground running and serve all the communities of Tshwane. Moya has been the acting mayor of the city of Tshwane since Brink was removed in a vote of no confidence 2 weeks ago. She has promised to charter a new way forward.
There is a fully functional, equipped and politically sensitive mayoral committee will be announced. One appointed with your needs in mind as residents. All members of our multi-party mayoral committee will have the task to ensure that their portfolios provide the services required as mandated by this council through you. And as I vow to my fellow residents today, to make our city feel safe, make our sewers, pipes and water provision a well of dignity to all residents, including those in Hammanskraal who will soon receive potable water after years of efforts. Provide a conducive space for our young residents to pursue sports and recreation. Provide work opportunities through the EPWP. Lay well-oiled roads and transport infrastructure to ensure that you, the residents, can get to work and look forward for work on a reliable transport network. Provide residents with dignified housing opportunities. Answer our residents' energy and electricity needs. Advance the agricultural ambitions of our rural communities. Energize our economic nodes to awaken our business and manufacturing might in the interest of robust economic opportunities and development, and cultivate a healthier city, among others.
The appointment of the new Tshwane executive mayor has been received with mixed emotions. Caucus leader of the Freedom Front Plus, Granite Timasian, says Moya was part of the people who collapsed the municipality. He says ActionSA is arrogant and will not be able to lead the municipality out of its current financial situation. But ActionSA's national chairperson, Michael Beaumont, disagrees and says the leadership of Moya is committed to rebuilding a city that will bring government closer to the people and accelerate service delivery. He says ActionSA will work together with other parties to prioritize rebuilding the municipality. He's also added that they are dedicated to delivering efficient and effective governance to the people.
Victory this represents for ActionSA today must be completely overshadowed for the victory it is for the residents of Tshwane. The city is in a terrible state. It has been in that state because of the actions of the last 8 years worth of mayors and even before that. And now is the time where we need strong, decisive leadership. You're absolutely right. The city needs a very clear way forward. It needs a strong intergovernmental relations framework with provincial and national government to deal with a city that is effectively bankrupt as you and I speak right now. But certainly a vision will need to be crafted in consultation with other political parties. ActionSA is not an arrogant political party. We will sit down with all political parties, those in our government and those outside, and we will craft a program of action that ensures the diverse communities of the city are well served by a program of government.
I am glad I'm not in her shoes. I don't think she's going to make it. We will see on the 26th, in 2026 whether she produced what she has promised. And then the worst part is Michael Beaumont of ActionSA. When I contacted him 6 weeks ago to discuss the issues, he rejected me. He said, I'm arrogant to contact him directly. Why don't I follow protocol? That's a type of approach that ActionSA leadership have. They think I'm too far low down in the pecking order to talk to me. I'm the caucus leader of my party. I've got the trust of my party. ActionSA is not ruled by the local people. They are governed by Herman Mashaba and Michael Beaumont from a national perspective. The ANC and the EFF will realize that very soon.
To get some reaction now, we're joined by political analyst Asanda Ngoasheng. A very good evening to you, Asanda. Thank you so much for your time. Of course, the newly elected mayor, as she takes up this hot seat, she's vowed to leave the city of Tshwane better than she found it. And of course, there's a lot of mixed reaction around it. For one, just a short while ago, the Freedom Front Plus saying that Moya was part of the people who collapsed the municipality to begin with. What's your take?
Thank you so much for having me. I think it's very interesting how the DAs responded to being removed from power, because they have been in power for 8 years. And in those 8 years, they haven't exactly brought the stability that they are now claiming others are threatening. Tshwane hasn't had a stable government since, for more than 10 years, effectively. It's undergone, gross corruption by the various leaders placed, and almost every political party that has been involved in there has failed the people. So just for a brief history, you had the current Minister of Electricity, who used to be the mayor in 2010 until about 2016. And he left with some question marks as well around him and around some of the corruption that had taken place during his tenure. Then you had the DA take over in 2016, and Soli, who is now the current leader of the DA in Gauteng province, also was at the helm and also left with some question marks around him. An incident that comes to mind is one where he was beaten up by somebody, allegedly around some issues around a tender. And also he had accusations of sexual harassment against him. And then, we had a series of mayors right up until April this year, when we had a Cope mayor who was found to have been declared insolvent and didn't declare his insolvency, and therefore breached various ethical codes. And now we're sitting, and then we had Cilliers, and now we're sitting with an ActionSA mayor. So the people of Tshwane have really been dragged through bad government after bad government by all the political parties that are in place, because the Cope mayor was put in place by the ANC and the EFF, and Soli was put in place by the DA. And so there's no one who's innocent at this point in terms of the dire situation that Tshwane is in. And it's quite sad to consider that, this is one of the capitals of South Africa, and it's gone from being, the hub of the state to being quite a dismal place. Just having been there myself, you're seeing piles of soil on the road, incomplete work everywhere.
Nasiphi Moya becomes the fourth mayor in the metro in the past 3 years. As you list some of those dynamics, what position do you think this leaves ActionSA in? Because we know the party had a change of heart about working with the ANC at local government level, while opting to sit in the opposition benches at national and provincial level. So at local government level, the two are now working together. They work together to remove Johannesburg Mayor Kabelo Gwamanda, paving the way for the ANC's Dada Morero to be re-elected. And then this materialized in Tshwane, ActionSA supporting the ANC's motion to boot Brink from mayorship. What are the dynamics at play when it comes to ActionSA, and how ActionSA is using what it has to maneuver?
Well, I think ActionSA has been smart on this one, because they realized that, the DA dumped them, having promised a moonshot pact where all the smaller political parties were going to come together and we're going to oppose the ANC. And then the DA came out of the election and jumped right into bed with the ANC and promptly dumped them. And so they obviously had to have a new strategy that was going to be different to the strategy that they had before, which said they will not participate or collaborate with the ANC in any way. And I think, if you look at the leadership of Herman Mashaba in Johannesburg, he did do a good job. And so perhaps he might be a very good influence on the new mayor, but I'm not sure what is going to be possible in terms of turning the city around, because they essentially have 2 years until the local municipal elections come around. And we are, in such kind of muddy waters as a country, because there are various, kind of coalitions across the country. There's different coalitions at local government, there's different coalitions at provincial government, and then there's different coalitions at national government. If you look at, you're talking about COPE and its strategy. If you look at the DA is a partner to the ANC across the country nationally, including in KZN in terms of province, but in Gauteng, they've retained official opposition. And so it's becoming actually quite confusing and difficult to tell who's sitting where and under which kind of position the different political parties are coming from, because you've got an EFF and an MK who are at national level opposition, but they've now also, the EFF has backed the ANC as well in this Tshwane situation. And so it's going to be interesting to see what ActionSA is able to achieve in just a short period of 2 years, when you are looking at a city that has, at last count last year, the Human Settlements Department said Tshwane had 210 informal settlements. And so that's a lot of people who are living in unsafe conditions, who are essentially unhoused and will have to be dealt with. And service delivery is going to have to start actually reaching people, particularly the people of Hammanskraal, who have been victims of cholera, which effectively was caused by wide-scale corruption by ANC-linked people. And you also have, the situation that's happening in Soshanguve, where there's high crime and people are scared to literally walk outside because they could be shot and killed in their own neighborhoods. And so this is not an easy municipality to govern. And in some ways, I think it gets overshadowed by Gauteng and the focus on Gauteng. But Tshwane is really in a deep crisis. And we need to, as South Africans, really look at what's happening there and ask some serious questions about our politicians and their ability to deliver services, but also to care about our democracy and the state of our democracy, because they are effectively using politics, which is their job, but they are abusing the power that we have given them as the citizens, and are just playing politics without really considering the importance of having a working government that delivers services. And I include the DA in this because they had 8 years to make right. And I include the ANC in this because they even came in and abused their power as per Concord and took over the city of Tshwane and put it under administration at some point because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. And so all the political parties are implicated in this disaster that we see, both the DA, the ANC, COPE, and everybody else that is currently in politics in Tshwane has failed the people of South Africa.
In fact, ousted Mayor Cilliers Brink is reported to have said that the new mayor, Nasiphi Moya, will be controlled by the ANC's Gauteng factions and the EFF. What does that indicate in terms of some of the challenges that lie ahead?
I think that's just mudslinging, because we could say the same as the Africans, that the DA is being controlled by its coalition partners, the ANC and the others, government. I think that we are in an era of coalition, and parties are going to have to be mature and respond age with particularly. They need to learn actually how not to be sore losers, because as far as I'm concerned, all the talk I've heard from a DA is a political party that is being a sore loser, rather than telling us what it is that they think they've achieved and how it is that they plan to win back the trust of the people of Tshwane, because people in townships of Tshwane are saying that they have been the worst hit by this DA government. It has not delivered for them. It has delivered in some ways for suburban people, but as people who are living in townships and informal settlements and peri-urban areas, they have not felt this government, which means that they have failed South Africans, because the majority of South Africans are those people who are living in townships and are those people who are living in informal settlements. And so when you ignore them and you go for the minority that is suburban living South Africans, then you're missing the point completely of being in government in this country.
Very well. Thank you so much for weighing in on this discussion. Political analyst Asanda Ngoasheng there, giving us some analysis as the newly elected mayor of Tshwane takes up her seat.